Welcome back to the Well Off Podcast, Season 2. I'm your co-host, Gina Sim.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Tara.
Tara, it's great to always see you in person.
I know. What a treat.
What a treat.
I love it.
Yeah, so we are off-site, on-site at one of our guests' locations, and it is very exciting.
Today, we're in Bridgewater, New Jersey at the corporate headquarters of JAG Physical Therapy with their Chief Marketing Officer, Kayla George.
Yes. Hey, Kayla.
Hey, welcome to our home.
I love it. I love it. Always good to be back here in the JAG world.
Yes, welcome. We have a lot going on.
I know. You certainly do. And we are going to dive into all things physical therapy and JAG physical therapy. But first, I just wanted to wish you a happy new year. And how was your holiday season?
It was great. You know, I have 3 little kids, so holiday season is still magic and, you know, trying to fit a million things in one day to make sure they wake up Christmas morning and it's everything that we think our childhood was. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a long holiday season, but all worth it.
Amazing.
We always need a nap afterwards.
Seriously. Tara, how was yours?
Great.
Good.
Yes. And got to spend a little time in Florida afterwards.
Ooh.
So that's always a treat to get away from the cold in the middle of the winter.
Yes, and your kids are all grown, so you don't have the Santa love anymore.
Well, I try to make it happen. I mean, they still have stockings, and I still try to make it as magical. And it's more expensive, honestly.
I bet.
Because they're adults.
sure.
Like, they want big things.
Right.
Like furniture and technology.
And Louis Vuitton bags.
Yeah. No, that's what Mama wants.
Yes, true. Although,
For the record, that's what Mama wants.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
yes, put that up. So for next year, her birthday's coming up. That's it. But yeah, well, good. We're so excited to be here. And we're going to dive into a lot of different topics today. But most importantly, we're going to learn about Kayla George, who is the CMO of JAG Physical Therapy for, I don't even know how long it's been.
This is year 14.
Holy cow.
Full-time with the company. Fun fact, I worked for JAG's marketing agency for 3 years prior to joining. So while I say year 14, it's been a little bit longer than that.
Wow. And you still love it.
I still love it. I
That's
love
what
the
it's
people, and I love what I do because it changes each and every day. So
Keeps you on your toes.
it sure does.
Amazing.
So I know you two go way, way back and have maintained a lovely friendship, but I don't know a lot about your professional background. So can you share with me and our listeners?
Absolutely. So like I said before, right out of college, I interned at a sports marketing agency, and I was an athlete growing up, played soccer in college. So for me, I graduated, I'm like, I'm going to work at the front office of one of our sports teams. So I joined the sports marketing agency. I loved it, and I learned really quickly that I didn't want to work in sports. But with that being said, I had the great opportunity. JAG Physical Therapy was one of the clients. So I had a great opportunity to work on the account, get to know the brand, get to know the people. And for me, it was the best of both worlds because I still got to work in sports, but didn't have to sell tickets. And, you know, it was a much different experience. And the energy that, you know, just came from our CEO and the staff, and the motivational aspect that when you walk in a clinic and see a patient that, you know, wasn't able to walk a couple weeks ago and they're taking their first steps was something that I was really attracted to. And I said, I could really see myself here. And as the company was growing, you know, I'd meet with John, our CEO, every month, and we'd go over the marketing stuff. And I went in for a meeting, and he told me this big, 10-year plan. Part of it sounded a little crazy. I'm like, wow, he's got these really big goals.
Yeah.
But he was so sure of himself. And he, after he told me the plan, he's like, do you want to be a part of it? And I was like, is this a loaded question? I'm like, well, I am a part of it. I'm here. We're talking about it. He's like, no, do you want to come and join me full time and be a part of it? And I was like, let me sleep on it. I went home and I talked to my parents, and I just started dating my husband at the time. And I was like, this guy said this, and that, but I really love it there. He's like, what do you have to lose? He goes, jump in. You don't like it, you can leave.
Yeah.
And I've been here ever since. So
I love that.
everything that he described and talked about, we've achieved tenfold, and it's just been a great learning experience. I'm surrounded by the most wonderful people that are really an extension of my family.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to leave here. So I know that's so rare. So I consider myself very blessed to have found somewhere that I feel so passionate about and care so much about. We're definitely on our toes. We don't necessarily stop around here, but that's my personality. So it just fits.
I love it.
Nonstop.
And for our listeners, you touch on so many things, and I love that you went a different way, right? You had an idea of what you wanted to do, but like life often happens, we go down a different road, and then look what happens when you take a chance, put yourself out there, and deviate a little bit from where you thought you needed to be. You know, the reward can be way, way greater than the risk.
Absolutely. And you know what? There's always an opportunity to change or grow or pivot. And that's kind of how I look at life. You know, I'm a planner in a way that I need to stay organized, but I'm not someone that's so rigid that's like, you know, I have to do things this way. And if it's not done this way, then, you know, it's all messed up.
Right.
That is, and especially as I've become a mom, I have 3 little boys. You just got to roll with the punches. And that's kind of how I've grown personally, is just being able to kind of work outside my comfort zone and go with it.
Part of the thing too, so a lot of people that have come on our podcast have talked about, you know, you can make a change and changing careers. And, you know, if you change careers and pivot, it could make you happier. You can make more money. It's kind of nice to hear the other side of it, where you find a company that you're with for decades and, you know, you're really invested and you're happy and you're successful and you're where you want to be. So I think that's a great perspective that we haven't had before.
For me, it's never been about the money. It's always, you know, I feel like growing up in and around athletics, it's always, this is the goal, you got to achieve the goal, and then you set a new goal. So it's never really been about the money. It's always, what's the next goal? And as long as I have that in front of me, I'm happy.
Speaking of goals, you were a soccer player for Rider University.
I was. I played there for 4 years. It was a great experience. I never thought I would play at a D1 level. My parents, my coaches are like, you know, you could do this. And that was never really my end goal. I love playing soccer. It was an outlet for me, but I never saw myself playing at that high level. And quite frankly, there was a pretty big fight between me and my mom when I was looking at college, because I didn't really want to make that commitment. And I'm glad that she won the fight, and I did, because I'm a better person because of it.
Sure. I mean, sports in general, I think, teach you so much just about the payoffs of hard work, how to handle a win, how to handle a failure, how to kind of recalibrate and get back into the game, you know, all pun intended and no pun intended. And just their life skills. And I think, it's so important.
You hit the nail on the head. And people say all the time, you know, like I mentioned, I have 3 little kids. My oldest son is 8, and he plays every sport you can imagine, right? You know, he plays soccer, football, wrestling.
Which makes you very busy.
All of it. And, you know, when someone said to me, you know, he's not going to be the next, you know, Peyton Manning. And I'm like, that's not what this is about.
That's right.
There's so many other things, learning how to win, learning how to play as a team, perseverance, like so many other things that I don't care how good or bad he is. I want him to learn those life lessons.
Sure.
And when I'm building my teams at JAG, and if you look at our leadership at JAG, a lot of us were student athletes, because you bring that into a professional realm and you can time manage. You can get through the bad, and you can work as a team. And it's not about the sport. It's about everything else that comes with it.
So let's pivot for a second and talk to us about physical therapy. And working in the mental health and substance use space, there's really a push to acquire physical therapy before going to a doctor for a prescription pain reliever. So talk to us about the benefits of PT and why we should get it.
Physical therapy is so broad, and quite frankly, so underutilized. We treat patients through the full age spectrum, and really it's such a preventative measure. Like you mentioned, it is a great option for pain relief. It is a great option for balance training. If you look at our senior and aging population, the risk of slips and falls is there.
Yeah.
And we work with a ton of seniors. We work with a lot of community organizations on just balance training, trips and slips and falls prevention in order just to keep our population healthy. So a lot of people look at physical therapy as, well, it's post-surgical. You know, I got this surgery, I got a, knee replacement or rotator cuff surgery. And of course I need to go for physical therapy, but it's so much more than that. It's preventative measures, and it's really allowing you with movement to keep yourself healthy and doing what you love. And then when we look at the aging population, it's funny. My husband's 93-year-old grandfather has been like our number one patient.
I love
He's
it.
been with us for years.
Yeah.
And of course, we work on his balance and gait training, but it's also, a little bit of a social and emotional support system, right? They don't have too much going on throughout their day. So it's nice to see them come into an environment where they can socialize and be a part of something and maybe see the youth aspect of it. So it's just so much more than that. And as physical therapists, which I am not one of them, but I see our teams, and it's not just the physical well-being. A lot of it is emotional and motivational. Think about a high school senior that has a scholarship to play football and they just tore their ACL and what that does. And the physical therapist, their job is obviously to get them back physically, but it's so much more than that.
And I hear a lot of stories like that where there's a star athlete and they have an injury and then their career is over.
Yeah.
So do you think that, and I know you're not a physical therapist, but are there options like where that doesn't have to be their story?
Absolutely. And that's part of it. Maybe you do miss your freshman year, but who's to say you can't come back after that?
Right.
And
I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Yes.
He's like 92. So
And there's so many success stories like that. So, it's your story, it's your journey. The support is there. Physical therapy is so underutilized because people don't have the time for it. And even me, I work here and, I might have back pain or neck pain, and I'm not going to seek treatment until I absolutely have to. And it doesn't have to be that way. You could go through a couple weeks of PT and don't have to, work through that pain. So
Sure.
I know it's hard. And as a mom, I totally understand no one has the time for it. You also have to take the time to take care of yourself. And physical therapy is a great cost-effective option.
I love that you guys have, so here at JAG, you have a lot of educational videos and stuff that you post on your YouTube. A lot of it too is preventative or stretches. Tell me the importance of stretching and trying to prevent injuries before they happen.
Absolutely. The preventative measures are probably the most important, and that's why we focus on it so much. Not only do we try to get it out digitally, but we are in our communities each and every day, whether we have therapists working with local sports teams or in local senior centers or in local businesses, just like setting up computer setups so that they're ergonomically sound and don't have that, carpal tunnel or the neck pain or the back pain.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into it. And it's the little preventative measures that can prevent you from having surgery down the line or living in pain. And again, it's small things, but the human being, we're very busy and we don't take the time. So for us, the more we could focus on prevention and giving people the tips and tricks they need to keep themselves healthy, we don't want them on our table.
Right. I mean,
Right.
But yeah, like the stretching is just such a big part of that because, I'm a former gymnast and cheerleader. And actually last summer I taught a stretch class to some high school girls, and you could see the difference week to week of how their flexibility would start to get better for hip flexors, for things that you don't break a hip when you're in your 50s and 60s and 70s and that kind of stuff. So stretching is also a big part of it.
Absolutely. And we see a lot of it, during those preseason months. Student athletes are home all summer. They're not working out,
Right.
even though they have their workout routine they're supposed to be doing. They're not. They're playing with their friends. They're at the pool. And then preseason comes and you got 3 days
Right.
and they all come with soft tissue injuries. So we do a ton of education on that, not only to the athletes, but to the parents and coaches as well. ACL so that they could better prepare their teams, and maybe coaches could ease into it a little bit more to ensure that, okay, we know the student athletes aren't doing what they need to do all summer. Let's not set them up for failure.
Right.
So
that's so important. You don't think about that.
We do a ton of collaboration there with all parties.
So what are some new things happening in physical therapy that our listeners might be surprised to hear?
So physical therapy, like I said, is so broad at, any age. People can benefit from physical therapy. So at JAG, we put a very strong emphasis on continuing education. And we also have specialty services to ensure that we can cater to each population. So we have clinics that have certified hand therapists for specialized hand cases. We have pelvic floor specialists throughout 10 of our facilities to work on those types of injuries, whether it's postpartum, pregnancy related, or sexual dysfunction, or just typical pelvic pain. So really, we're looking at the latest and greatest technologies in order to help our patients. We do have specialized equipment to be able to treat these patients, and we have a very strong mentorship program to ensure that the youth coming up does have a mentor, does have someone that they could turn to. When these physical therapists are in school, it's academic based. They don't have their hands on patients. And okay, you might be taught how to treat an ACL, but every ACL is different. Every person is different. Right. So for us to be able to treat the unique individual and create a plan based on that person's goals and needs is very different. So we work a lot with the youth in order to ensure that they are where they need to be, they are supported, and they can develop as their own professional. And we always tell our physical therapists, this is your practice. JAG might be the name on the door, but your patients are coming for you. So unlike some of our competition, we want our physical therapists out in the community. And if they decide to wake up one day, go somewhere else, they have their active patient base, and it's about them and about the patients. And we want to ensure that there is that relationship, and we give them every opportunity to meet their goals, whatever those goals may be.
You mentioned pelvic floor therapy, and we recently, on our last season, we had a chiropractor on talking about sexual health and chiropractic care and kind of how that correlated with each other. Talk to us a little bit more about what pelvic floor therapy is, because it's kind of a hot topic right now.
It's a service that is not as utilized. A lot of people might need it, but there's not as many resources available. So we actually have had therapists, whether they've gone through a traumatic birth experience themselves, that want to further their education and help more people because there's not a lot of resource for it.
Right.
Fun fact, it's not just for females either.
That's my next question. Is this just for females?
And females. So we have 10 facilities throughout the company. We have a footprint in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania for pelvic health, and they're highly specialized cases. And again, it's about the unique individual. So whether it's postpartum, whether it's just pelvic or abdominal pain, whether it is sexual dysfunction, they're able to dive in and treat. And as a mom, I've spent a lot of time just listening and being educated on strengthening my pelvic floor and doing those deep core exercises, because everything is interconnected, and you don't realize how much it is interconnected until you really start to deep dive down.
My wheels are spinning. Are Kegels a part of pelvic floor therapy?
It is.
Okay. Because you can do those while you're like sitting at a red light.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And, we like to talk about things sometimes that people are uncomfortable to talk about because we want to bring it into the light. And there are a lot of women who suffer with an actual clinical diagnosis where it's very, very painful for them to have sexual intercourse, and they feel like there's something wrong with them. And pelvic floor therapy is a very useful tool, because it's interesting. It's a physical diagnosis, but it's also a mental health diagnosis called vaginismus, which is very difficult for intercourse to even happen at all.
Wow,
So
I just learned a new word.
Yeah, I know.
Say that 10 times fast.
Vaginismus.
Yes. So, pelvic floor therapy is very, very necessary.
And
in addition to the mental piece.
Also, urinary incontinence, is something that no one talks about. Anyone that's had a baby has had to deal with that in some way, shape, or form. So we have patients that aren't able to run or aren't able to cough or even walk.
Laugh.
Right.
Menopause.
Right.
Hello.
So like all
Sneeze,
those things that, are just simple tasks of daily living that a lot of us take for granted, a lot of people struggle with, and they struggle with them silently. So we are here to be that resource. And, I wish we could continue to expand. And that's something that we're doing, is looking at those services. How do we meet the communities where they are? What do they need? And can we be a convenient resource? Our patients, or physical therapy patients in general, are with us 2 to 3 times a week. So different from a specialist that you're seeing maybe once a month. That convenience factor is key, as is the affordability factor. So we're an in-network company. Our multi-site approach is really to meet the patients based on where they are. No one wants to travel 30 minutes for PT 2 to 3 times a week. Who has time for that? So if you look at our approach and our multi-location strategy, it's to do just that. What does the community need? How can we be a resource? And we expand based on that.
And just testimonial, I am a former JAG physical therapy patient.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. So you mentioned being busy, right? Where it's hard for patients to get physical therapy, but you're busy. You have 3 little boys who are active. So enlighten us. How do you keep it all together while maintaining this chief level position in this humongous organization?
Yes, I am very blessed, and I am a little bit of a control freak that has had to learn to adapt and accept help and raise my hand to say, I need help. I am surrounded by family that picks up the pieces each and every day. I truly could not do that without them. And I also have a very healthy support system here at JAG. Starting from the top, our CEO is the first one to say, you've had enough. Go home, take an hour for yourself. And not everyone is that lucky. So I fully recognize that the only reason why I can do everything that I do is because I have the people behind me allowing me to make it happen and giving me the grace to say, I can't do any more today. With that, I've had to really learn, okay, stop, don't burn yourself out. Even last year, I was so sick last winter just because I was burning the candle at both ends. And I had both family and colleagues here sit me down and say, we're here. What do you need? Take a break. So this year, I've really tried to focus on that and focus on myself, physically, mentally, emotionally, taking the time and really building my team around me to be able to support me. People say, you're like Superwoman, you could do it all. I am not.
But it looks like that from the outside.
I have a lot of support around me. And quite frankly, that's the only way that anyone could get it done.
It takes a village.
It
Absolutely.
does. It does.
And, you bring up how you have this supportive work environment, and so many people don't put value in that. They only look at the paycheck or what's this job going to pay me. But the benefit of having a culture that's supportive and where you feel, like you said, like you have this network, there's no price tag that you can put on that. It's so valuable.
My colleagues are an extension of my family. We laugh together. We've had great wins together. We've had great losses together. We pick ourselves up. We fight. We make up. It is a big family. And I think as a company that started as mom and pop, we really try to keep that going. And I know we're over 150 locations. And
just
people
crazy.
are like, you're this big company, but it's still, the families and the bonds that form at a clinic level that make each clinic unique. And of course, us as an executive team and corporate level, we're all there to support each other. And of course, there's work and business that needs to be done. But at the end of the day, we care about each other as people first. And I really think that's why we've been most successful. We're all fully invested. And if one piece of the puzzle needs some help, we're dropping everything and we're helping that piece of the puzzle. And that's how you have to look at it. And I go back to sports because it's very much a team-based environment here. And that's how we run the business. It's, one person isn't winning if the whole team isn't winning.
Yeah.
That's right. I love that mentality.
Yeah. So what do you do for your wellness routine? Like, when do you find the time to do stuff for yourself?
Yes. So because I was an athlete my whole life, working out is very important to me. It's not just about the physical well-being. It really helps me mentally. It sets up my day. Last year, I set a goal for myself to work out 2 to 4 times a week, and I have stuck to that goal. That is the one thing I do for myself. I try to do it in the morning. Sometimes I just can't wake up. But
that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah. Sometimes it's just not in the cards.
You know what? I'm making sure that even if it's just a quick 30-minute Pilates video, I'm getting that done at some point throughout the day. And also just pausing to take time for myself. I'm not a huge reader, but I set out a goal. I want to read more.
Yeah.
So I've already read 5 books. So I'm just trying to keep setting those goals, not personally, not professionally, more just so how do I keep myself healthy, and focusing on that, because I want to be able to go and play with my kids 20 years from now and play with my grandkids. You know, God willing, I get there.
Right,
so it's all those things, you know, leading up to that we need to focus on. And I'm really trying to make an effort. And I want my kids to see that. I want my kids to see, hey, mom gets up and she works out and then she goes to work and then she's at my soccer practice.
Yes.
Like, they need to see that.
Yeah.
So I want to be that example. And I can't be the best mom for them if I'm not taking care of myself.
Yes.
And when kids are little, it's very hard to do that. But I've really made it a point to set up that time. And if it's 30 minutes, if it's 15 minutes, I got it done.
And it is not selfish. Self-care is not selfish.
We just keep preaching that.
Yes,
Self-care is not
you
selfish.
have to invest in yourself.
Going back to your role as Chief Marketing Officer, so obviously marketing is your wheelhouse. Tell us a little bit about marketing and, you know, why it's important. I know as a business owner, people are always thinking like, I don't have the time or the money to invest in marketing, and it always goes to the back burner, and they try to do it organically, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You know, talk to us how when JAG started, marketing was such a big factor in your success.
It starts from the top. Our CEO has been in the sports world forever. That's where he launched his career. So he learned that sports marketing approach, and he applied that to physical therapy. So for me, like I mentioned, I first started at a marketing agency. So I had a bunch of different clients, and anyone that I talked to in marketing, I'm like, start at an agency because you will get exposed to so many
much
things.
Oh my God, I know.
Start there at least 2 years, learn everything. And then you could really hone in and say, I like this aspect of it. Marketing is so broad. There's social media, there's digital, there's PR, there's branding, there's grassroots. There's so many things that go into a marketing plan. How can you right out of college say, I want to do this? You have no idea.
No idea. Yeah.
You have no idea.
No.
The multi-layers and what the options are. And right now with digital is insane. The targetability, the amount of tools we have at our fingertips, learning a CRM, like what is that?
Yeah.
So
Sitting on your couch and talking about something and seeing it on your phone.
Right.
And for our listeners, CRM is...
customer relationship management.
I had to think about that too. I'm like, wait a second. You said EMR the other day, and I was like, electronic medical records. Yes.
That's my world. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so many different things. And it's really just for you to be successful in marketing, you have to have that brand awareness. And that's really how JAG started. We didn't have this big piggy bank. So when John first opened the company, he didn't have the money that maybe some of our competitors had, but he knew he needed to get in front of the community, and he knew he needed to get in front of our referral sources. So of course I dealt on the marketing agency side. But when he didn't have money for promotional giveaways, he literally had his mom make meatloaf, and he would go and deliver meatloaf to the referral sources just to set himself apart.
Wow.
So from the beginning, the company was really founded that way. And John is an amazing physical therapist and athletic trainer, but he's also an entrepreneur and a businessman and understands every facet of the business.
And he's an author.
And he's an author.
So he has. What is his book?
He has 3 books.
Oh, 3. That's right.
So he has 2 really sports medicine books. He has a soccer injury prevention book. He has a baseball injury prevention book that he co-authored, co-wrote with Dr. Christopher Ahmad, who's the Yankees head team physician. Wow. And then his latest book is the JAG method, and that's really his most personal book. He preaches to our team here at JAG Physical Therapy each and every day just about being the best version of themselves, goal setting, going through failure and what it means and how to come out on top. So what he did, and it is the smallest book, but it's 30 pages of just some motivational force. And he took his life story and his trials and tribulations, and every chapter is just a piece of that. And you could take out one key token of advice or motivation from every chapter. And again, it's his most personal book. It tells his personal story, but what he hopes that the youth gets out of it is everyone has a story, and it's about how you adapt and move and handle failure and continue to advance yourself. That's going to make your path, right? What I want in my life is going to be very different from maybe the goals of the 2 of you, but how do you kind of take that and create a successful path for yourself, even if you have to step back, even if you have to pivot, which no one has this, clear, straight path to success. Yeah. There's always winds in the road, roadblocks, and it's really just a motivational factor that he's been preaching to us for years and wanted to put pen to paper to help other people.
So you don't want to be a golden girl? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Amazing.
Kayla, I mean, you've touched on so many great topics today, but here we really try to hone it in on to what does well off mean, right? Because obviously you personally and JAG has had really great success. So it isn't necessarily about being well off financially. So what does it mean to you?
Yeah, for me, and especially as I've gotten older, I've really honed into just how blessed I am to be able to get up and say, okay, I want to go get my MBA. I want to allow my kids to play every sport under the sun and make it happen. And it's all about going back to yourself. So well off means that I have the emotional, mental, physical capacity to wake up every day and do exactly what I want to do, whether that's personally or professionally, to have all of those key things in me as a human to be able to get up and attack that, whatever it may be. Right. And I don't ever want to take that for granted, especially the business that we're in. We see people each and every day that are struggling physically, and because of that might be struggling mentally or emotionally. And, something as easy as putting on their shirt, they can't do.
Right.
So for me, well off is being physically sound, mentally sound, emotionally sound. That is all we need. Yeah. I could not make $1 ever again in my life. And if I have those things, I will genuinely be happy.
I love that. That's a new one. We haven't heard that one before.
No, and we did have a guest, Eric from Fontana Candles.
Oh, yes.
Who said well off was just like being physically able to bend down and tie his shoes, because at one point he wasn't as that healthy that he could do such a thing. So I love that. And you're right. You're absolutely right.
And I think you're living your top shelf life right now. What do you think?
I am trying. I'm blessed every single day. I have a job that I love. I have a family that I love. My husband is a great support system. I have 3 healthy little boys.
Hi, Joey.
So I mean, for what else could I ask for?
Yeah.
I have both my parents. I have everything. And
that is top shelf.
Yeah.
And you're walking in some nice shoes.
Yes.
You are.
Shoes are my thing.
I mean, just so for anyone that's not on video or actually can't show the video, give us a little flair. She's got on these lace Louboutins that are fire.
They are adorable.
They're fire, but I always love seeing what kind of shoes Kayla has, because they're always the best.
Oh, well, it's been really lovely to get to know you and to hear more about your journey and this amazing company that you get to work for every day.
I love it. Yeah. And you guys are expanding at a rapid pace and still going. I'm still waiting for you to come to Connecticut, but
we will get there.
Okay.
We'll get there eventually, where, like I said, physical therapy is all about meeting the patients where they have a need, and our multi-site approach is really to do just that. So we have over 150 locations. This past fall, we threw a big party for all of our employees to celebrate that milestone. And it's something that should be celebrated, but we still have so much more to do. There's so many needs for physical therapy, and we are a clinically led company. Our CEO is a clinician that still treats patients each and every day. So every business decision is solely surrounded by the patient. I think that has really attributed to our success, because it's not a bunch of suits or business people making decisions on something they've never done before. It's clinicians, and I am one of the only people at the table that isn't a licensed clinician, and it's the clinicians that are running the show saying, this is what we're seeing, this is what we're doing, this is the patient population that we're treating. We need to help them. And that is, quite frankly, why we've been so successful.
That matters. It really does.
Well, thank you so much. It's been so nice to come back to JAG PT and see everybody, and definitely spend some time with you. And we're so grateful to have you on our podcast.
And thank you for taking the road trip. I appreciate it.
Yeah, a lot of traffic on the Merritt Parkway. I hate that Merritt Parkway.
And thank you for hosting us. It's been wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Kayla.
guys.